A thread by Carlos Osuita. Hey, Jim Acosta, any comment? You said we can judge Donald Trump by his endorsements. Well, the king of white supremacists endorses Biden. I'm just kidding, Jim. Of course you won't say anything. You're not a real journalist, but it's still funny as hell. Trump stayed exactly the same for 4 years, and all the same people, all the sane people came around. I knew they would. Today, in my deep blue city, in my deep blue state, it was like the John Carpenter film Prince of Darkness. Carpenter is a great never was. His films got steadily worse after The Thing, which is perfect. He got a hugely swollen head, so he insisted on making films for himself. Now, I wrote my memoir for myself, but I made sure that it would appeal to an audience. If you want commercial success, you have to make products that sell. The secret is to never go for the lowest common denominator. You work as hard as you can to make something that as many people as possible can enjoy. It's tough, but you can never be self-indulgent. John Carpenter's movies began failing when he tried to force his own interests on his audiences. Now he's bitter. We let him down. Well, he brought it on himself. Prince of Darkness has some unforgettable scenes. This is my favorite, link in the description. And the homeless people. That's what my city is like now. It's dangerous to go outside. They're everywhere, and they're all insane and on drugs. In his second term, Trump will repeal laws against involuntary commitment. He'll reopen the state and federal mental hospitals. You know why the hospitals didn't work in the past? No funding, and nobody knew how to treat mental illness. Trump fixed the VA hospitals. He can do the same for state and federal mental hospitals. Make them nice places to live and staff them with people who are not overworked. The current non-system of allowing the mentally ill free rein to prey on each other and us has failed. Deinstitutionalization failed because, as always, Democrats never followed through. Community mental health centers were never built, but patients were released from hospitals. Part of it is the leftist delusion that mental illness is a lifestyle choice. Every single mass shooter is mentally ill. I'm talking classic cases, not Chicago lifestyle mass shootings. This is a cultural issue. All the others, especially school shootings, are the result of untreated mental illness. Now, leftists want social workers to deal with the violent mentally ill. After the first few obese social workers are gunned down or stabbed to death, calls for help will simply be ignored. Trump will overhaul everything. And I'm not talking about a life in chains or straitjackets or in a drug-induced vegetative state. The first state hospitals earned their keep by having inmates do the maintenance work and make things that could be sold. Leftists stepped in and screeched, "Slave labor!" They ignored the fact that the inmates enjoyed having jobs. It gave them a sense of dignity. So having the inmates maintain the institution and provide income was outlawed, and then inmates just sat around with nothing to do. Look into almost anything, and you'll find that leftists ruined it. Trump will be reelected. GOP will retake the House and keep the Senate. For the first time in American history, the GOP has no platform. The party has simply endorsed Trump's agenda for the next 4 years. Brilliant move. The Democrats mixed old and decayed with young and murderously violent, and they got the 2020 election season. It's amazing to watch. Don't kid yourselves. They think they're going to win. They know damn well that a Trump and GOP victory means their doom. They're not waiting for 2024. They can't think ahead that far. Trump and William Barr have no brakes when it comes to justice. The Democrats did what they did because they thought they'd be in power forever. after so many Republicans crapped out, flopped, and collaborated. What a difference Trump makes, eh? I saw that Hillary is still whining about her loss. The last time she appeared in public, she had an entire emergency room, including staff, under her moo-moo. Many of you are too young to remember, but in the waning days of the Soviet Union, it was one senile codger after another. Gorbachev was 58 when he came to power, a spring chicken. Same with the communist Chinese. They're all alcoholics. Alcoholism causes latent damage. It doesn't show up until years later. Even if you finally stop drinking, the physical deterioration continues. Chet Baker. Peter Hook. Every ancient Democrat in power is a massively heavy drinker. It impacts your cognitive skills. They have no idea what's hitting them. And the young rioters don't even have a strategy. They have zero ability to think beyond me yell, me burn down, me throw brick. Stephen King thinks that the armed forces are where idiots go. The more skilled the warfighter, the smarter. When you get to the strategic commandos of the Third Revolution in military affairs, these are geniuses. They have to know everything. War is much harder now because it's so reliant on technology. What the 3RMA solved was the problem of fighting and winning major conflicts within political constraints. The answer is to fight clandestinely and leave a tiny footprint. No paper trail. When you can destroy an entire country's offensive capabilities with secret tactical strikes, politics don't matter. When the armed forces are totally compartmentalized, no leaks. All those traitorous winter soldiers don't even know what's happening. Since strategy is now reduced to massively destructive tactical strikes, generals can be kept out of the loop. They can't leak to the press or congressmen or to their mistresses or to Chinese spies posing as mistresses. I have no problem with this. The most loyal fighters are the ground pounders, zoomies, jarheads, squids, and puddle pirates. They won't sell us out, and they won't turn their weapons on us. The greatest danger was always the president and his lackeys in the Pentagon. Obama and his lackeys wrecked the armed forces. It was worse than under Carter. At one point, we had one combat-ready brigade combat team in the Army. 3 infantry battalions, a total of 4,413 troops, counting the rest of the team. Worst readiness in modern history. This was deliberate. We won't ever need to invade and occupy another country again. All we need to do is destroy their offensive capabilities. Then they become irrelevant to us. We can wipe out Russian and Chinese land invasions. In World War II, British Hawker Typhoon II, renamed the Tempest, fighter bombers destroyed entire Nazi armored units in a matter of minutes. Americans keep having to reinvent the wheel, so we didn't build a tank buster until the 1970s. The Fairchild Republic A-10 Thunderbolt II Warthog. Air Force generals never wanted it, and they've been fighting to get rid of it since it was introduced. They said tank busting should be done by Army helicopter gunships. Obama almost got rid of it, but Congress forced him to keep it. The A-10 is now safe. The A-10 was built around the gun, the giant Gatling cannon. No other aircraft is so heavily armored. Sorry about the obnoxious music at the end. Link in the description to the video. Each hole was made by one cannon round. The date of the strike was January 24th, 2018. The Taliban said they were ready to negotiate, so when we began negotiations, they launched an attack and said that Trump was naive to think they wouldn't. Therefore, Trump ordered the killing of the entire Taliban leadership. When they were all dead, their successors were much more eager to be good boys. Trump never publicized this, but the strikes were reported. Trump was ready to make a deal, and they played games, so they all died. Even their spokesman and publicist were killed. They were all flushed out and killed as they fled in a panic. That sobered them up. I'm sure their last thoughts were, how did this happen? Who's naive now, dead guys? This didn't work out the way we... Seriously, the only one who matters in terms of how everything goes is Trump. And he's headed for an easy re-election. All is well.